Well, the U.S. and Israel are condemning France's plan to recognize a Palestinian state. French President Emmanuel Macron announced the move yesterday, saying he'll formalize the decision at the UN General Assembly this September. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu slammed the decision, saying it, quote, rewards terror. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio called it reckless. Well, for more on this, I'm joined by CBS News senior foreign correspondent Elizabeth Palmer. Elizabeth, thanks so much for joining us. This is a pretty significant development. Why has France made this decision now, and could other countries follow suit?
Well, President Macron is hoping other countries will follow suit, particularly the other major countries in the G7. He's the first one. This is not the first country in Europe, for example, that has recognized Palestine as a state. The Spanish government has, the Norwegian government has, but this is sort of one of the great powers, one of the nuclear powers of Europe. Why it's going to be popular with the electorate? People have been seeing those terrible images coming out of Gaza. There's great frustration with Israel's reluctance to find a way to end the war. And so this is a political statement that perhaps Macron hopes will pressure Israel, but it's bound to go down well with French voters. He won't do it until September, as you said, at the UN. And in the meantime, perhaps there will be some negotiation with the Gulf states to try and build support in that direction, too, and make him less isolated on the world stage.
Now, all of this comes as a ceasefire and hostage release deal in Gaza appears to be stalled. Elizabeth, what's the latest on the state of the negotiations?
Well, they've limped along now for months, agonizing, and it's quite opaque. Nobody can really see inside what the sticking points are. Broadly speaking, I think we know one is where the Israeli military will pull back to in Gaza, and secondly, whether Israel will commit to ending the war even after a 60-day ceasefire expires. If there's no roadmap ahead, the Palestinians and Hamas and many world leaders want Israel just to say, okay, we won't resort to violence again. We will rely on diplomacy to take us into the next chapter. Very peculiar, though. The negotiators left the negotiations and went back to their respective countries to discuss a deal. And both sides said, we're coming back. This isn't the end of the process. And it was America, particularly Steve Witkoff's office, Mr. Trump's special envoy, who said that it's time to look for alternative means to release the hostages, in effect, that these negotiations are going nowhere. And neither Israel nor Hamas seems to have expected this American going very cold. So it's really peculiar. But the last communication from Israel was that their negotiators were preparing to go back. So we're just going to have to wait and see.
And meanwhile, the suffering in Gaza continues. Elizabeth Palmer, thanks so much for joining us.